Assalamu alaikum, sisters. You bought the candles, you took the bath, you did the face mask. So why are you still anxious? It's because self-care is not the same as nervous system regulation. Self-care is a bubble bath. Nervous system regulation is your survival. And today, I'm going to be telling you about the year that I thought I was dying in my sleep, and how detoxing toxic people and building bedtime rituals saved my life. Let's dive in. In the next 45 minutes, we're going to be covering the difference between self-care and nervous system regulation, why one is optional and the other is essential, my story, a year of sleep apnea, anxiety attacks, chronic pain, and how it all disappeared when I left a toxic relationship. Why toxic people literally make you sick with headaches, insomnia, fibromyalgia, asthma, the signs your nervous system is dysregulated, and why you can't just relax. Grounding rituals as your stem, your structure, your anchor. This is stage 2 of the Heartful awakening plant. And what to do before bed so you're not in fight or flight mode. And lastly, the simplest practice that you can do anywhere to regulate your nervous system. This is about survival, not luxury. Let's go. For those new here, I teach the Heartful Awakening Plant methodology. Stage 1 is the roots. This is reliance upon Allah, having tawakkul, being anchored in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Stage 2 is the stem. This is your sovereignty, including grounding rituals, structure, and self-care as survival and self-respect. Today, we're going to be talking about the stem, your structure, your daily rituals that keep you alive. Alive not just physically, but spiritually, mentally, in all realms. Because without regulation, you're just surviving in fight or flight, and you cannot thrive there. So let's begin. I start with my story, the year that I thought I was dying. I would literally stop breathing in my sleep multiple times, sometimes nights in a row, where I could not breathe. I would have a dream that I was in a crowded room in a building and I'm climbing up the stairs and the air is getting thinner and thinner until I can't breathe at all, and there's people around me and I'm trying to breathe, trying to take a breath, but nothing is coming in, no air. And this happened so many times until finally I reached out to an acupuncturist. I reached out to a doctor after the acupuncturist said that she couldn't help me. She's like, this is super, super serious. You got to go to the doctor. Then I went to the doctor and they did blood tests and they're like, everything is normal. They're like, your thyroid hormone's a little bit off slightly, but everything else is completely normal. And that's when I realized that perhaps it's not something physical. Right? And it was really scary, because I would be trying to breathe, I'd be trying to gasp, but nothing would come. And so I'd start panicking and try harder. And then I'd finally surrender, like, okay, ya Allah, if this is it, then this is my time, like, so be it. And then only then, after surrendering, would I finally be able to get air. But it would take a long time for that to happen, sometimes a minute, 2 minutes. 3 minutes, but I was like in a half awake, half sleeping state. So it was really tough. And what opened my eyes was when I was speaking to a sponsor of mine, and she was a mentor, and she told me that I had constructed a prison for myself. She said, yeah, because you've made a prison for yourself. And I really didn't understand what she meant until several months or even years later. So this went on for a year where I thought that I had sleep apnea. But when I went to doctors and I asked them, like, is this sleep apnea? They were like, no, it's not. I went to the internal medicine department and he was like, no, you're not even at risk of sleep apnea at all. Like, it doesn't run in your family either. And like, he took a look at my neck and he was like, there's no way that it's sleep apnea. It must be something else. He's like, if you want, I can give you a sleep test, to figure out what it was. But he didn't have an answer for me. He didn't have an answer. The acupuncturist didn't have an answer. Nobody I went to had an answer for me. And so I realized that, okay, I was going to have to take things into my own hands and look at patterns. So like, when does it happen? How often is it happening? What did I eat? Did I eat too close to bed? Like, what was it? So I had to take my health into my own hands at this point. And after some time of doing this, of writing down my patterns and realizing, okay, did I eat? What happened? Right? Then I realized that it only happened when I was with my partner, that when he was traveling away, this never happened. I was able to breathe. Or when I was traveling, I was in another country, then it didn't happen again. I could breathe. Right? It was only when he was around that I would get these anxiety attacks. Right? I felt like I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was dying. It would happen in my sleep. It would happen during the day at random times. Studying in the library, I would have to like stand up and I would just start sweating from head to toe. And so eventually I realized that what I had was not a medical problem. It was him. It was his energy. Right? And the breaking point for me was when I finally left that relationship, and then it never happened again, not even once. And during that relationship, I was extremely sick as well. I was sick every week. I remember I was in my online classes, and every single class, I was like, yeah, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick. You know, I was always congested, always had some virus. I got COVID like 4 times. And nobody else in my house was sick. It was just me. Like, he never got sick. And so the anxiety attacks and the sickness, it was just stress. It was my nervous system that was screaming at me like something is terribly wrong. And when I left the toxic relationship, the sleep apnea disappeared. My body was like suffocating under the weight of the environment that I was living in. And it wasn't only sleep apnea and sicknesses and fever. I had pain every day, fibromyalgia. So that consisted of headaches, migraines that would not go away. I had chronic insomnia where I was always tired because I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. And he would ask me, like, why aren't you sleeping? You have a sleep issue. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, why can't you just sleep normally? Like, everybody else goes to sleep and they just fall asleep and you're just up all night reading books. And I'm like, yeah, I'm reading books because if I'm in bed, I'm not going to be sleeping anyways. And so I might as well do something productive. I had asthma as well that had gotten so bad. I tried everything. I went to professional massages, even like up to 2 hours long. I still had pain and headaches. Weekly osteopath visits to try and get the pain out of my back because I had this burning pain in my back, my neck, my shoulders, which caused tension headaches, right? I tried self-massage with that ball you're supposed to like roll around your back with. My dad recommended that. I tried eating healthy. I tried the most like restrictive diets ever. In fact, I don't even call them restrictive diets. I call them selective diets because there was like only a small list of foods that I could eat. So I did that. Like, I tried everything to try and get the pain to go away, but nothing worked. Like, I was in so much pain all of the time. And then finally, one day I told him, I said, you're going to have to go and I need the keys by tonight. And then he moved out and then I moved out into my own place. And the more that he disappeared from my life, the more I could breathe. The fibromyalgia was gone. The migraines stopped. The asthma, I can't even remember now the last time I used my pump, but all of it went away, you know, and I like, for me, what really confirmed the connection was when I saw him again, like months later. And before I even got close to him, like when he was just a few meters away from me, I started feeling that pain creeping up again. And I was like, okay, this confirms it for me. Yeah. But thankfully now, you know, I can't even remember the last time I saw a doctor or took meds. So yeah, this is why, like, I highly recommend doing a social audit, realizing like who's around you, because if you're having these issues, you're feeling that like unexplained pain in your body, difficulty breathing, difficulty sleeping, anxiety attacks, like it is a signal, a red flag that something is seriously, deeply wrong in your life. Because I realized eventually that the problem was not me. The problem wasn't my body. My body was communicating to me that there was an issue. The problem was who I was around, the energy that I surrounded myself with. Right? I tried every medical intervention and nothing worked. And when I removed the toxic person, then suddenly I was healed. Because there's nothing wrong with your body. It's just trying to survive a toxic environment. So change the environment and watch your body heal. I ended up asking my dad how to help me as well, because he's somebody who's also suffered from quite a bit of pain in his life. And I asked him, I said, I'm getting these headaches. Like, what can I do? And he told me it's stress. So this was even after I moved out, that I still had sometimes the headaches that would creep up. And he told me that you need to de-stress before sleeping, because he's like, if you go, and then you fall asleep right away, then you're not really in a restful state during your sleep. And so he recommended that I stop being on my phone at night. And so I tried doing this. I would read books instead, take a warm bath. I would journal. Journaling was huge for me because it helped me to connect to myself. It helped me to see what I actually wanted in my life. It helped me recognize the patterns that I kept repeating again and again, because you need to recognize patterns in order to change them. And the patterns, they are your habits that you do again and again, and your habits determine who you are as a person, right? And then slowly after I took care of myself, and I would wind down before bed, turn on like a nice soft orange light, and journal and read after the kids went to bed, slowly my body started to trust me again. And so there's a difference between self-care and nervous system regulation. So self-care is nice, like it's a nice luxury to have. I mean, it's important, but it's not necessary, right? You could still live without bubble baths, but nervous system regulation, that is your survival. That is necessary. You cannot live without it, right? So self-care, things like bubble baths, face masks, going for manis and pedis, lighting candles, treating yourself for a day, right? These are nice, but they're not the same as regulation. Nervous system regulation consists of daily grounding practices, breathing exercises through your belly, things like yoga, rituals that signal to your body that you are safe, right? And this also involves detoxing from toxic people. This means people who affect you negatively, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, just on a nervous system level. Like you feel anxious around them, you feel guilty around them, you feel like something is wrong with you when you're around them, right? People who maybe it's not outright that they'll insult you, but like when you're with them, you just feel inferior, right? Nervous system regulation also includes creating structure and routine in your day. So this is not optional, this is survival. So you can take a bubble bath, but you might still feel anxious afterwards because the bubble bath doesn't change your nervous system state. It's just a temporary distraction. Your body is still in fight or flight. What your body needs is to feel safe, to have predictable routines, to have stability, to be away from people who are going to dysregulate you and trigger you, right? And to practice grounding daily. Signs that your nervous system is dysregulated is that you overthink. You're thinking a lot, more than you should. Again and again, the same thoughts, the same things going around in circles. You're always worried about what's wrong with you. You're scrolling endlessly, doom scrolling. You're snapping or yelling at your kids. You can't sleep even though you know that you're exhausted and you haven't slept and you need to sleep and you've been awake for 18, 20 hours, but you still can't get yourself into a sleeping state. You're wired but tired. You have unexplained pain in your body that doctors just can't figure out. You're sick all the time. You procrastinate even on really, really simple tasks. Okay, so if this is you, it means that your nervous system is screaming out for help. Okay, and triggers for nervous system dysregulation, especially for Muslim women, number one is living with a very controlling spouse, right? Or having parents or in-laws who have narcissistic personality disorder, right? Self-shaming, self-criticism, being a perfectionist, not giving yourself enough grace, and constantly answering the demands of everybody around you, constantly. Okay, so in this environment, your body is trying to survive. You're not thriving. Okay, and you're not lazy. I have lots of women who come to me and they're like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm just lazy. I just can't do anything. And I'm like, no, you're not lazy. You're dysregulated. Your nervous system is in survival mode 24/7. Of course, you're going to be exhausted. Of course, you're not going to have energy to get up and wash those dishes because you are not you are not in your healthy state, that your body is always working just in order for you to survive the crazy, chaotic life that you have. You don't realize how much you are already doing just by surviving in these environments. And it's important to remember that your body is always working for you, not against you, right? Your body is working with you. It wants you to succeed. It's telling you, it's warning you that something is wrong so that you can fix it, so that you can find a better environment where you can feel peace, right? And a lot of times this is going to require being around more positive people, being around people who've got your back, who will stick up for you in rooms when you're not there, people who want to see you succeed, people who are willing to go through inconveniences for you, people who really want to see you thrive, people who want to see the best version of you and won't accept lower than that, right? These are the people who have like tough love, right? Because they really, really want to see you thrive, okay? Because toxic people, when you're around them, these are people who are negative, who are ill wishers, all right? When you announce something that you've done well or something that you've achieved, you can feel it in their energy that they're not really happy for you, that they're jealous. And what happens to your nervous system when you are around people like this is that you remain in fight or flight, right? That you get anxious, you get nervous, you kind of walk on eggshells, you try to say things to please them or to impress them, or you put on a mask, or you just smile even if you're not happy. You'll still go to that gathering because they were invited and you don't want to be judged by them, and then they're going to be gossiping about you, even though they're already gossiping about you to begin with, right? So either this fight or flight anxious state, or you'll completely freeze, where you find yourself just laying in bed for the next 3 days. You can't get yourself to do anything after being with these people because you're completely drained, right? Another thing that negative people will do to you is they cause chronic stress because you're around them all the time. And when your nervous system is stressed for long periods of time, you're going to have things like chronic fatigue, right? You won't be able to work, you won't be able to be productive, you won't be able to achieve your goals, right? Which is why company is so important. The Prophet ﷺ, he said that solitude is better than bad company, and good company is better than solitude. And this shows us that the company that we keep is important. We need to be paying attention to the company that we have around us. People you have around you are important. They affect you. Without even speaking to a person, without even opening your mouth or them opening their mouth, their energy still affects you. Their aura affects you. All right? Because there is the unseen spiritual world that exists. Okay? And so you want to have positive energies around you, not negative ones. Okay? Not only do toxic people affect your nervous system, they also can cause physical symptoms. As I've said, headaches, anxiety attacks, trouble breathing. This is asthma as well, insomnia, where you can't sleep, chronic fatigue, tired all the time, getting sick constantly, again and again. Your immune system is worn down, and unexplained pain. You think that you're dying, but you're just living with a narcissist. Because toxic people, they don't just hurt your feelings, they make you sick. Headaches, insomnia, chronic pain. Your body is trying to escape, but your mind and your decisions have to catch up. And so let's go through the different ways that your body can react to these being in these environments for a long time. So the first one is fight or flight. This one is obvious. You have panic. You can feel very, very angry. Sometimes you'll hold in your feelings for a long time and then just explode when it gets like too much, right? This is like fight or flight. And then sometimes there's you can run away as well. So either you stay there and you fight with the person, or you run. This is the flight response, right? You escape, you run away, you disappear, you hide. This can even be hiding emotionally. If you're not able to leave physically, sometimes you can leave a place emotionally where you're just doing things in autopilot and you're not really feeling anything. You're completely numb. This is also another form of the flight response. But the freeze response, this one is a little bit more sneaky. When you're in a freeze response, you can't get anything done. Even simple things like washing the dishes or folding laundry, they feel like they're impossible. You're procrastinating for what seems to you like no reason at all. Like, why can't I do this? I should be doing it. But you procrastinate. You just feel stuck when you're in the freeze mode. So in my experience, when I lived with a narcissist, I could not keep my house clean for the life of me, even if my life depended on it. Like, it was always messy, toys on the floor, dishes in the sink, laundry always piled up to do. Like, I couldn't get myself to do any of these menial tasks. Like, I had friends literally come over for 6 hours and come help me clean up, and then a month later it would be in the exact same state, right? And even if my husband was showing disappointment, like, what did you do all day? How come it's still like this, right? I still couldn't get myself to do it. And he'd be like, okay, I'm going to work now. By the time I come back, I need this to be done. I was like, yeah, okay, inshallah. And then I wouldn't be able to do it. The house was always a mess, and I thought something was seriously wrong with me. Like, I thought that again and again, like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just do it? I even bought books on like how to keep house while drowning, and similar books where I was like, okay, if I just put enough effort, but I only got through like the first 10 pages of the book until again I went straight back into freeze mode. I couldn't even finish the book, right? Whereas now with my current husband, cleaning is extremely easy for me. Like, he doesn't even have to tell me what to do. Like, I could see him look at something. He'll just like open the microwave and I'll notice that it's like a little bit dirty, and then he'll close it, and then like before he comes the next time, like, it's already cleaned because like I noticed it and I'm like excited to do it. And mopping is easy, and sweeping is easy, vacuuming, like I'll do it like every day, no problem, because I don't have that resistance anymore. I'm not in freeze mode anymore, because I'm with somebody who has a more positive aura, right? I'm around positive energy, and like it makes all the difference because it's the same person. I didn't change who I am, right? I just changed my partner. I just changed my spouse, and that's all I had to do to get unstuck, right? Things that used to be so difficult for me back then, I can do with ease, right? I'll go through books and books and books now, right? No problem, from cover to cover, right? And it's fun for me and I love it. And I'm like the best, most powerful version of myself that I've ever been in my life because of the positive person I have next to me. So the problem was not me. It was the energy that I had around me. I thought I was lazy, but it turns out I was just living in freeze mode. So change the person, change the energy, and suddenly everything becomes easy. So now, what are the signs that you need to detox from someone in your life? It's not always necessarily a spouse. It might be a friend or frenemy, they call it. Someone that you have to see a lot, or someone that you've been friends with for a long time. And so you're like, okay, well, we have a long history together. I can't really like break it off now. But physical symptoms that will show up when you're with the wrong person is you have unexplained anxiety around them. You're sick more often, unexplained pain, you can't sleep after being with them, and you feel exhausted. Emotional symptoms that you're around somebody you might need to detox from is that when you're with them, you're walking on eggshells, you're hypervigilant, watching their facial expressions. Are they going to lash out? Are they upset? Maybe I did something. Did I say something wrong? Maybe that's why she's cold. You're constantly anxious, and you feel drained after being around them. Okay, so if you have a parent or a partner with NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, your nervous system is going to be dysregulated by default because you've been living in survival mode for years. However long you lived with that parent or with that partner, you got used to living in survival mode. And so now you're naturally going to gravitate towards people who give you those same symptoms or who put your nervous system in that same state because it's familiar. Whether or not it's healthy, you'll still choose it because it's what you're used to and how you've lived for years until now. So it's not exactly your fault, right? It's not your fault that you keep attracting these people because it's what makes your nervous system in a weird way feel safe in that you know this feeling. Right? But remember, your body is on your team. It's never against you. And so your body will still scream out these symptoms like, hey, listen to us. This is not okay. Ouch. Right? Like it'll tell you because you are one being, one cohesive being, and your brain and your mind and your heart and your soul, they all work together. Okay? So when you have symptoms in your body where something is clearly not right, and doctors can't explain it, your blood comes back normal, but you're still getting the headaches, you still have this, okay, listen to your body, honor your body. Rather than taking Tylenol for years and years, just treating the symptoms, fix your environment, fix the root problem, because your body is always on your team, never against you. It's screaming like a baby. You just have to learn how to understand it. Now let's go through some grounding rituals that you can use as your stem, your structure, because routine, when you're going through the same things again and again, it signals to your body that you are safe, which is why predictability is so important. Even if you read any books on parenting, it'll say that your kids need stability, they need predictability, they need to know what's coming next. But you are also like that. You are also a human being. Predictability shows that you are not in survival mode anymore. Grounding rituals matter because they signal to your brain and your body that you are safe, and they pull you out of fight or flight. They pull you out of the freeze mode. They ground you in yourself, and they ground you in Allah, not in other people. So this is the stem. This is stage 2 of the Heartful Awakening plant methodology. It's your structure, having sovereignty. These are going to anchor you. Right? Having a routine, it grounds you because you feel at home with yourself. You don't need anybody. It doesn't matter where you are on the earth. It doesn't matter who's around you, right? That you have these practices to come back to, right? Rather than seeking safety through others, now you have Allah and you have yourself, and that's it. Because really in your life, who do you have other than yourself, right? You're going to be with yourself for your whole life. You're going to be with Allah for your whole life. And so you might as well have these grounding practices. That's all you need. All you need is Allah and yourself in order to do these practices, because then no matter what comes your way, no matter what chaos life throws at you, that you can still be okay. You can still thrive no matter what happens. Because routines signal to your body you are safe, not in fight or flight, not in survival, safe. And so examples of daily grounding rituals that you can have morning and evening is dhikr, right? You want to have a daily practice of dhikr that you do. Belly breathing as well. A really beautiful way to put belly breathing and dhikr together is by lying down in a comfortable position and breathing in La ilaha illallah, and breathe out Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? Because notice how that's longer than the La ilaha illallah. And I can't breathe in while saying it because I'm talking out loud, but when you're whispering, you're able to kind of breathe in while simultaneously saying the kalima La ilaha illallah, in and out Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when you're stressed or you're anxious, right, you can do this belly breathing with the kalima and imagine surrendering to Allah. And when I do this, I remember that Allah is in control of everything. Allah is in control of my life, of my death, of my rizq, of my destiny, right? Allah has it all in His control. And so it's a great reminder. I learned this practice from my sheikh in Jordan some years ago, and I've been using it ever since, because when I had met him a few years ago, I was in a very, very anxious state. I had terrible anxiety. I was still dealing with the anxiety attacks, insomnia, all of it, sleep apnea. And he asked us, do you have any questions? And I just blurted out, like, how do you deal with anxiety attacks? And this is what he responded to me. He said, he taught me this dhikr to do. And he said that there was actually a woman who he knew who had stage 4 cancer, and the doctor said that she wouldn't be able to make it. And she did this practice for every single day. She would do it for hours and hours. And eventually she recovered from the cancer, through doing this dhikr, through having this connection to Allah. Because as I said, your mind and your soul and your body are all connected. Right. Another thing that I like to use other than this dhikr is having a transitional object. So for me, it's my tasbih, like my brown tasbih. I've had it for like 10 years or longer. I just keep it around my wrist and it grounds me. So if I'm traveling or I'm in a new place or I'm around new people, right, I just have my tasbih. It reminds me of Allah. It reminds me of my sheikh. It reminds me of who I am. And it reminds me of the people I love and the people who've been there for me for 10 plus years. It reminds me of safe people, right? It keeps me feeling safe, and my nervous system and my brain and my mind is just like, okay, I'm safe. At least I have this object with me, right? And it might be a different object. People have different things that they use, but for me, that's what I use. So yeah, if you only have like, let's say 10 minutes and you're really, really anxious and you're not feeling well, you're spiraling, Right? Something that you can do really, really easily, no matter where you are, is just focus on your breath. Focus on belly breathing. Recite the kalima or du'as from your heart in your language. Think of Allah, feel His presence, and just surrender, but really focus on your breathing, because when you have the belly breathing, this is how babies breathe through their belly in. When you inhale, you should see your belly going up, right? Expanding. And then when you breathe out, your belly goes down. And so focusing on your breath really, really can help, and just having your heart with Allah. So being with Allah in your essence, you don't even necessarily have to be saying dhikr on your tongue. Again, you can whisper the kalima as I've taught, but even without it, your heart just being with Allah and just focusing on those belly breaths, I'm telling you, it goes a long, long way. You can do this anywhere. And one thing about anxiety attacks, is that your biggest fear is like you're gonna die, right? Like you're sweating from head to toe. You're like, okay, this is my time. I'm dying. Like Allah's taking me, right? But whenever I get anxiety attacks, something that helps me is just surrendering to Allah and being like, okay, Allah brought me here. I'm gonna be okay no matter what, right? And the anxiety starts to subside by just surrendering to Allah and being like, Allah's in control, like not me. So you don't need an hour-long meditation is what I'm saying. Just even 10 minutes of belly breathing with Allah is regulation. And I've had somebody recently ask me, like, what if I want to regulate? Like, what else can I do other than salah and dhikr and these belly breaths? Is there something else? And I said, yeah, you can go out in nature. I love taking off my socks and walking on the grass outside, walking on the soil, especially in different countries. You get the nutrients and the minerals from that soil from different countries on the planet. Whenever you travel, that can be a great grounding practice because you have the earth wherever you go. So yeah, I like connecting to trees as well. Just, even just stroking the tree and connecting to it, giving it salam, and doing that with plants as well. Like just being connected to Allah's creation, to nature, going out, watching the sunrise, watching the sunset. All of this will help you be connected to yourself, regulate your nervous system. Japanese doctors, they often recommend forest bathing for critically ill patients who struggle with mental health. They'll be like, go in the forest for this many hours per week, because nature heals as well. So yeah, have that connection with yourself. If you can't go out, or you're stuck in a place and you're getting those spiraling thoughts, yes, you can go to belly breaths and dhikr. And then proactively, you can also plan out times in your week where you are in nature, because nature does make you calmer. It helps tremendously. And now the last thing I'm going to go through is your bedtime ritual. So a lot of overthinking and anxiety happens at night, especially, right? And it's very important to decompress before you sleep so that your body's actually resting while you're sleeping. You ever get the feeling like even if you sleep 8 or 10 hours and you wake up and you're still tired, you're still feeling terrible, you have brain fog, right? It's because you haven't decompressed before sleeping enough. Because most women, what they do wrong is they're scrolling until they can no longer keep their eyes open and they just crash, right? Or they're watching triggering content before bed, super sad, super graphic, something scary, right? Or they're getting into arguments before bed, or imagining future arguments in their head, or imagining different ways that they could have answered that argument, and I should have said this and I should have said that, right? So they're going to bed stressed, but your body cannot rest when you're in fight or flight. And so what I like to do before bed, my bedtime ritual to keep me calm, to stop me from doing those things, is I make wudu and I'll listen to something that's more calming. I'll read something that interests me, like in psychology or fiqh, something that is just leisure reading, like I don't really have to read it. I make sure I put my phone on red light mode, so it kind of imitates red light therapy. It doesn't disturb my sleep. Make sure that I put that on. I've set like an automation on my phone so that if I click 3 times on the side, my phone turns red and it doesn't disturb my circadian rhythm. And when I lie down as I'm about to sleep, that's when I bring my awareness to Allah. And I don't pressure myself like, you have to say this much du'as and this much surahs, right? I just connect to Allah from my heart while belly breathing. And if there's something on my mind that I can't get out, like I'm overthinking, there's a problem and I can't find a solution to it, I'm someone who is extremely solution oriented. And so I need to find solutions to things. Otherwise, my brain won't stop until okay, we found the solution. So if I find myself overthinking, I'll open up my journal and I'll just write it down until I find something. like some type of conclusion or almost conclusion or half conclusion, just something to settle my brain down. I'll write down until I'm like satisfied. Another thing I do is I remember my loved ones who I'm apart from and I pray for them rather than having that subconscious missing where you just try not to think about people. I don't find that works very well. So I think about them and I pray for them. And this routine tells my body that you are safe and you can now rest. So stop scrolling yourself to sleep and rather build a bedtime ritual that tells your body that you are safe. Because you are more than just a to-do list machine, right? You have to connect to your body, your heart, your creator before you sleep. And again, this is not luxury. This is survival. This is living your best life, your aligned life, right? We're all going to return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the more we are calm and peaceful in this life, the more we connect to Him here, the more peace we surround ourselves with, right? The easier that transition is going to be. And so now, bringing it all together, let's recap. Self-care is nice to do, but nervous system regulation is survival. And toxic people can literally make you sick with headaches, insomnia, chronic pain, because your body is trying to escape. Your body works for you, never against you. So listen to it, honor it, and fix your environment. Grounding rituals are your stem, your structure, your safety. So build routines that depend only upon Allah and yourself. Bedtime rituals matter. You cannot fall asleep in fight or flight. So decompress, connect to Allah, and breathe. This is stage 2 of the Heartful Awakening plant, the stem, your sovereignty, your structure. And if you're ready to build these daily grounding rituals with support, the Heartful community is waiting for you. Join for free and get weekly masterclasses every Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. You get access to a free resource library and a space to connect with sisters who get it. You can optionally upgrade to the full membership for 47 Canadian dollars a month and unlock daily Heartful Majalis. These are daily 1-hour calls, Monday to Friday, live gatherings with other sisters. On Saturday, we have a garden majlis, which is a Q&A session with me. You have 7 modules that take you from overwhelmed to grounded. You have a daily checklist for nervous system regulation, a daily accomplishments channel to acknowledge your efforts and the things that you do right, good heartful morning messages every day. There are daily lessons, daily journal entries, and a sisterhood that holds you accountable. These are the grounding daily routines that are going to keep you safe. They are accessible from wherever you are in the world every single day. You are not alone in your overthinking spirals. You do not have to process this by yourself. You can join us at community.heartfulmuslimah.com. From anxious to peaceful, from chaotic to grounded, the lone sheep gets eaten by the wolf, so join us in the garden today. Next week, I'm going to be dropping something special, tools to help you regulate, ground, breathe, meditations, trackers, journals. More on that on Friday. But for now, start with your breath. If this episode resonated, share it with a sister who is overwhelmed, overstimulated, and exhausted. And remember, self-care is nice. Nervous system regulation is survival. There's nothing wrong with your body. It's not broken. It's just trying to survive a toxic environment. So change the environment, build the rituals, ground yourself in Allah because you deserve to breathe.